The world had begun to hum. Sophia noticed it first in small things, the way that the clock at her desk would always strike 11:11 when she was thinking of him, the pattern of birds landing on the same branch outside of a window at the exact moment she would walk by. She would catch a song on the radio, always the same note, the same lyric, and feel it vibrating inside her chest as if the music had been written for her alone. Numbers, melodies, and light threaded through her days like secret signals. Sometimes she saw them in the steam curling from her coffee cup, in the tiles of the cafe floor, in a license plates on the cars that were passing by. Each coincidence was tiny, almost fragile, yet electric, a gentle tap on her soul. She began to keep them in her notebook, filling it with patterns, sketches of light, and fragments of lyrics or phrases that repeated themselves. A sequence of numbers would appear on a receipt, a page in a book, a license plate, over and over, and always in the moments when she was thinking of him. Once she hummed a tune she didn't know she remembered. The next moment a piano in the street outside played the same melody, softly, perfectly, as if the city itself were echoing her inner song. Her skin tingled. She clutched the edge of the table, heart leaping. She could not explain any of it. Logic insisted that it was a coincidence. Her mind protested that she was imagining patterns where none existed. But her body and her soul knew differently. Every echo left a faint warmth in her chest, the same heat that surged whenever Christian's gaze met hers, the same pulse that had burned through her dreams. Even in the quiet of her apartment at night, she would feel it. Subtle vibrations beneath her feet, a flicker of movement in the corner of her vision, a whisper of music in the hum of the refrigerator, signs that she could not name, yet they called her forward. One evening a single number appeared repeatedly across her day: 1, 2, 3, 4. On a receipt, a bus route, the clock on her oven. She laughed softly at first, thinking it a playful trick of fate, but the more she saw it, the more her pulse quickened. It felt like a sign, a secret handshake from the universe itself. She began to understand slowly that the world was speaking to her, singing back the rhythm of her awakening. Each echo was a note in a song she had only begun to hear, a melody threaded through the ordinary, carrying her closer to him, closer to the fire that she had felt ignite within. And every time it happened, every song, every pattern, every number, she whispered his name, not aloud, but in the deep chambers of her being, and she felt it answered in ways she could not yet name. The universe was listening, and she was learning to listen back. The days grew strange and luminous. Sophia walked down the street one morning and paused mid-step. A bird, small, golden, and feathered, had landed atop the lamp-post directly in front of her. It tilted its head, watching her with an uncanny stillness, then took flight just as Christian appeared around the corner. Their eyes met for a fraction of a second. Her chest fluttered violently. It was as if the bird had guided her, whispered, "Look here." In the cafe, she hummed absent-mindedly while waiting for her coffee. The barista's old radio cracked to life, and the song she didn't know she was humming spilled across the room. The melody was soft but insistent, threading through the chatter, aligning perfectly with her breath. Sophia froze. She felt the notes vibrate along her collarbone, a resonance that reached deep into her chest. Even the mundane took on an uncanny rhythm. On her commute, the number of steps between the train doors and her usual spot. Coincidence? Exactly the same number she's been recording. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4. She laughed softly, holding on to the railing as the floor seemed to pulse beneath her. It was a drumbeat, her heartbeat, and the world's heartbeat sinking together. Reflections began to betray secrets. One rainy afternoon she passed a shop window and gazed down at her reflection. For a fleeting instant, the face staring back was not just hers, it carried his features too, faint, luminous, impossibly familiar, and she stumbled back, gasping. A gust of wind blew through the street, scattering leaves like tiny sparks, and when she looked again, it was gone. Yet the memory burned in her chest. Even the air spoke. Walking past a fountain, the wind shifted in patterns she couldn't ignore, carrying snippets of a song, of laughter, and of words that were not hers, whispers of presence she could not name. Every subtle pulse, every shimmer of light seemed to respond to her in even every thought of him, as though the universe itself had folded around the two of them, creating secret alignments in the ordinary. By evening, she noticed it everywhere: license plates, the tick of the clock, the arrangements of clouds in the sky, each echo threaded into the next, forming a quiet symphony that hummed under her skin. And every time when the pattern completed itself, the birds, the song, the numbers, the reflections, Sophia felt a pull deep in her chest, an ache of recognition that made her knees weak. She whispered his name, not aloud, but in the pulse of her heartbeat. Somewhere, she knew, he felt it too. The city had become their chorus. Every coincidence was a note. Every pattern was a bridge. Sophia smiled, breath trembling. The echoes were calling her forward, and she was learning, slowly, beautifully, to listen. The coincidences no longer felt like chance. Each moment of alignment, the song, the numbers, the reflections, carried an undeniable pull, leading her somewhere she couldn't yet name. One morning, she lingered near the entrance of the cafe, pretending to scroll through her phone. A bus rattled past, its route number flashing in bold digits: 1, 2, 3, 4. She shivered because she had seen that number everywhere lately, and each appearance had drawn her closer to him in ways she could not explain. A few minutes later, the door chimed. He walked in, Christian, exactly on time, exactly in the frame the universe had set for her to see him. Her chest tightened, not with fear, but with a dizzying joy of recognition. Their eyes met across the room, and for a heartbeat the cafe fell away. The chatter, the steam, the scent of coffee, all dissolving into light. She felt it again, the pull of his energy, strong and insistent, threading straight to her heart. When she raised a hand to brush her hair back, he smiled, and the sunlight streaming through the window caught his face just so, turning his features golden, almost unreal. The world tilted and Sophia laughed softly, a sound of disbelief and delight at the same time. Everywhere she looked afterward, subtle patterns emerged, guiding her attention. A page in her notebook would open to a blank sheet, only to reveal a small sketch she hadn't drawn, a simple flame, perfectly formed. A street musician's song outside carried the exact melody she had hummed earlier, and as if the city itself were echoing her thoughts back. Even the air seemed to respond. She could feel currents brushing against her skin, aligning her steps, tilting the movement of crowds, making small spaces open just for her, guiding her, beckoning her forward. Her journal filled faster now, not just with numbers and sketches, but with fragments of insights that she could barely explain. Every alignment is a doorway. The world itself remembers him. Follow the echoes and you will find the flame. That evening she paused on the street, looking up at the first stars, the same warmth from the train, from the fire inside her chest, spread through her arms and legs. Her breath caught. Somewhere, just beyond perception, she felt him. Not a memory, not a dream, but present, tethered invisibly to her. Sophia smiled through the shiver running up her spine. I am being led, she realized, and I am ready to follow. The universe was no longer background noise, it was a symphony. Every coincidence, every pattern, every song, an invitation. And it was all leading her toward him. The world had begun to speak to her in unmistakable ways. It started small. The same bird landing on her balcony 3 mornings in a row. Always at the exact moment she stepped outside. She laughed softly, thinking it was a coincidence, until she saw him in the distance walking along the street below. The bird lifted, circling above before drifting away, and she felt the pull in her chest stronger than ever. On another day, the melody of a song drifted from a street musician just as she hummed it herself in a cafe. She froze, realizing that the musician had been tuning the strings to match her thoughts, or perhaps it was the city tuning itself to her pulse. Then across the room, Christian appeared, his eyes meeting hers in recognition, as if the song had carried him there. Numbers become more precise, almost deliberate. A train she didn't plan to take stopped exactly in front of her. Route number 1, 2, 3, 4, glowing on the digital display. Without thinking, she climbed aboard and found herself a seat near the very window where he always seemed to appear, reading or simply existing unaware of her gaze. Even reflections played their part. A storefront window shimmered, and she glimpsed not just herself but a shadow of him beside her, a ghostly echo of their shared presence. When she turned to look, he was there, walking past, the same precise spot her vision had indicated moments before. Sophia's journal became a sacred ledger of these signs. She sketched the patterns, birds, notes of music, repeated numbers. She wrote fragments of phrases she had never spoken aloud. Follow the pulse. It knows the way. The flame awaits. Step forward. All roads are drawn to him. Sometimes she would pause in mid-step, feeling the air ripple against her skin, a subtle tug in the direction she needed to go. Her body seemed to move itself, guided by something older than reason. The city became a map of invisible threads, each coincidence a glowing signpost leading her onward. One afternoon she paused at a crosswalk. The light turned red and the street ahead was crowded. A taxi honked behind her, the driver's window reflecting the sun. In that brief reflection, she saw him, his face bright with sunlight, almost impossibly near. And instinctively, without thinking, she moved towards that reflection. Across the street, he stepped forward at the same moment, as if the invisible threads had finally woven them into the same space. Her heart pounded in her chest, a drum beat singing to the rhythm of the universe itself. She could feel the energy between them, not just in thought of a dream, but in every very air around her. Warm, electric, impossible to ignore. Sophia laughed softly, breath trembling. It's not a coincidence, she whispered, and she felt him, a silent reply vibrating in her blood. I am here, and I have always been. Follow. The city itself seemed to lean toward them, the rhythm of life bending, nudging, and folding until there was no question. Every path, every echo, every shimmering reflection led her closer to him. And she knew with a fierce certainty that shone through her chest like sunlight, she would follow wherever it might take her. The city pulsed with rhythm, and Sophia moved through it as if guided by invisible hands. Every step seemed to fall into a pattern she could not see, but felt in every fiber of her being. That morning she exited the train and stepped onto the platform. The hum of the rails, the chatter of commuters, the clatter of footsteps, all seemed to synchronize with her heartbeat. And there he was, Christian, standing by the railing, unaware yet impossibly present. A flock of pigeons took flight as she approached, circling around him, their wings catching the light. The motion framed him like a halo, and she stumbled slightly on the platform, breath catching. The world had staged this, the music of the air, the light, even the birds, all conspiring to guide her closer. She stepped onto the train and, without thinking, found herself moving toward the same seat where he always seemed to sit. Their eyes met almost immediately. A gentle shiver passed through her, as if the universe had threaded their gaze with electricity. This time, the coincidences became tactile. His hand brushes hers as she reaches for the railing, not just an accidental touch, but deliberate, orchestrated. Her fingers tingled, and a current seemed to leap from his skin to her skin, lighting her veins with fire. He looked down at her hand, startled, then slowly up into her eyes, and something unspoken passed between them. Recognition, yes, but deeper, memory, longing, inevitability. The train lurched. Sophia's chest pressed against the rail, yet she remained fixed in the moment, attuned entirely to the thread that connected them. A faint note of music drifted from someone's headphones nearby, and the same melody she had hummed in the cafe days ago, and she gasped softly. He heard it too. She saw the twitch of recognition in his eyes. For a heartbeat, the train, the platform, the city, all dissolved. It was just them, just the pulse between two souls, orchestrated in perfect harmony by something older, something vast. Then the world returned. The train hummed, passengers stirred, and the music faded, but the tension lingered, electric and alive. Sophia's hand still tingled from the touch, and she felt his presence in her chest long after he had shifted slightly away. She whispered almost to herself, it's not random, it's you, always you. His gaze softened as if confirming what she could not yet speak aloud. He didn't answer, not with words, but with a subtle shift of his body, the gentle inhale of breath, the spark of his eyes. The universe had brought them here, and it would not let them go.